Which side is easier for you when it comes to the parent's job? Boundaries or validation? Where are my boundaries people at? You're like, I can say no all day, every day. You guys are rocking it at helping your child feel safe. And if you want to increase their sense of being connected to you while you're still setting boundaries like a pro, which will likely also increase their cooperation, adding validation will take your boundaries to the next level. And where are my validation people at? My warm and fuzzies. You're my people. You guys are helping your child feel very connected to you and seen. And if you want to increase their sense of safety, their sense of someone is in charge, while you still crush it with your validation, as you set and maintain boundaries, it will take your connection with your child to the next level and also increase your confidence as a caregiver. So why do we find often that one side is harder than the other? I think our difficulty with either side is actually for the same reason: discomfort with our child's distress. My guess is that boundaries people don't validate because they want to minimize, change, or ignore their child's emotions. And validation people don't set and maintain boundaries because they want to avoid having to manage big emotions. An important point that Dr. Becky shares is that our kids' feelings should not determine our boundaries, and our boundaries should not dictate our child's feelings. So if our difficulty with boundaries or validation comes from discomfort with our child's distress, what can we do to change that? I believe first, increasing tolerance for our own emotions. Whatever emotion is hard for us to tolerate in our child is likely also hard for us to tolerate in ourselves. So for example, if it's hard for me to tolerate when my child's sad, likely it's also hard for me to tolerate my own sadness. So how can I increase tolerance for my own emotions as a caregiver? I'm going to give you 3 steps: realize, relate, and regulate. So first, realize what you're feeling. Name your feeling. At least once a day, check in and notice. I'm feeling sad. Name it. Relate to this feeling. Notice where it is in your body and any sensations that are associated with it. So maybe if it's a sadness, I notice that my throat's getting tight, that my eyes are welling up. And then lastly, regulate this emotion, meaning what does this emotion need from you? If it's sadness, maybe an urge to talk to a friend, to cuddle up in bed. If it's anger, maybe it's to have an assertive conversation, to ask for help. Realize what you're feeling, relate to it, notice it in your body, and regulate it. What does it need from you? As we increase tolerance for our own emotions, it will help us better practice boundaries with our children and validation, because we will then have less distress when our child is distressed. And as we wrap up this portion of the parent's job, I want to leave you with 2 ideas on how to increase your confidence as a caregiver. The first is to increase tolerance for your own emotions through how we just talked about it. And the second is to practice the side that's harder for you, boundaries or validation. As we do each of these, they actually benefit the other one, meaning as we increase tolerance for our own emotions, it helps us better set boundaries and better give validation because we have less distress with our child's distress. These are ideas to help you set boundaries and give validation like a boss, your job as a caregiver.